Girls, look at his face. Look at his face. We need to stop everything right now and talk about what just went down at the BET Awards because the internet is losing its collective mind. Clarissa Shields was walking down that red carpet aisle like a kid in a candy store, singing her heart out to Renee Winston's gospel music, completely living in her own world. She thought she was serving an iconic, high-vibe couples moment. But the cameras, honey, the camera zoomed directly into her man, Papoose, and what we saw was an absolute crime scene of body language. He looked like he saw a ghost. He looked like a man being dragged to a dentist appointment against his will, or worse, a hostage trying to blink in Morse code for help. And when BET called out the blatant truth with a shady caption, Clarissa completely lost it. She claims Papoose is just militant and was protecting her from the actual celebrities. But hold on, are we looking at the same man? We've seen Papoose with his ex, Remy Ma. On Love and Hip Hop, that man was smiling, dancing, and trying to jump into every single camera frame. So why is he suddenly standing there like a stone gargoyle next to Clarissa? Is he protecting her, or is he suffering in silence? Strap in, because we are pulling back the curtain on this embarrassing red carpet drama and exposing the real reason why he's looking so dead inside. Alright, let's break this down piece by piece because the math is simply not matching with this entire situation. We are looking at a multi-millionaire, undisputed champion boxer who is 31 years old and completely at the top of her game visually, physically, and financially. Yet, when it comes to her relationship with Papoose, she is giving major remedial energy, and the entire world is forced to watch it play out on the red carpet. It is honestly wild how someone can dominate a boxing ring with absolute confidence but turn around and completely misread the room when it comes to the man standing right next to her. The fallout from this viral video has exposed a much larger narrative that has been brewing under the surface for years. People are not just reacting to a 5-second clip of Papoose looking miserable at an awards show. They are reacting to the entire history of this strange setup, the lingering presence of his ex-wife Remy Ma, and the fact that Clarissa has seemingly made this entire situation her whole personality. When you look at the timeline of events leading up to this point, you see a pattern of behavior that makes the BET Awards disaster feel like an inevitable train wreck, rather than an isolated accident. Let us start with the actual awards themselves and how Clarissa handled the entire evening before the red carpet drama even took over the timeline. She lost the Sportswoman of the Year award to Aya Wilson, which marks the second year in a row that she has been passed over for this specific accolade. Last year it was Angel Reese taking the trophy home, and this year it was Aya. Instead of just accepting the loss gracefully and moving on like a typical high-profile athlete, Clarissa immediately took to TikTok to create a long defensive rant about how she does not care about the voting system. She sat in front of her camera telling her followers that she has earned plenty of awards that people know she deserves. She claimed that before she dies, she is quite sure she will win a BET award, but that she is relying on God's timing and His best. That sounds nice and spiritual on the surface, but the underlying tone was pure frustration and bitterness. You can always tell when a public figure is deeply bothered by a loss because they will spend 10 minutes explaining exactly why they are not bothered. If you truly did not care about the trophy, you would be celebrating with your peers instead of making videos explaining your resume to strangers. But the real shift happened when she redirected all that built-up frustration away from the athletes and directly onto the BET digital team. BET posted the video of her and Papoose walking down the aisle, and they paired it with a highly sarcastic caption. The caption basically hinted at the exact thing everyone in the comments was already whispering, suggesting that Clarissa had enthusiastically dragged her man out to the function while he simply moved along like an unbothered piece of luggage. This sent Clarissa into an absolute tailspin, causing her to publicly blast the network that had just invited her as a nominee. She called it a whack caption and claimed it was entirely uncalled for because they were the ones who extended the invitation to her in the first place. She expressed this bizarre sense of entitlement, acting as though the network owed her a specific level of curation and protection just because she showed up. Girl, let us be real for a second. BET invites hundreds of celebrities, influencers, and athletes to that show every single year. You are not doing them a massive favor by walking the red carpet, and quiet as it is kept, you should be glad you and Papoose were even on the guest list given how quiet your respective industries have been lately. Instead of realizing that the network was just tapping into the organic comedy of the moment, Clarissa decided to make it a legal and professional issue. Reports are circulating from inside sources close to the production team that Clarissa and her management actually reached out to network executives to demand the post be altered or taken down completely. Imagine being an undisputed world champion boxer and using your executive leverage to fight with a social media manager over a caption about your boyfriend's face. It screams insecurity, and it shows that she knows the public is picking up on the exact same red flags she is trying to ignore at home. During her explanation of the event, she kept trying to change the narrative of what people were actually criticizing. She claimed that the interviewer who spoke to her didn't see anything wrong with the video and agreed with her perspective. She asked the audience when they had ever seen Papoose jumping up and down, dancing and acting wild at an event. She kept emphasizing that he is a grown man from Brooklyn, that he is very militant, and that he walks with his chest out and his shoulders back to protect her. She even went as far as to say that if you want to force a Brooklyn guy to go anywhere, you better have a gun and you better use it. Honey, nobody is asking Papoose to do the Macarena down the red carpet or do cartwheels past the paparazzi. We are not talking about a lack of choreography. We are talking about basic human facial expressions. There is a massive difference between a man being stoic and protective versus a man who looks like he is actively planning an escape route from the venue. He looked utterly drained, completely detached, and stone-faced like a gargoyle figurine. He looked like he saw a ghost when the cameras hit him, and no amount of Brooklyn tough guy excuses can erase the sheer awkwardness captured on that tape. The irony of her protection excuse is what really makes this hilarious. She is a professional world-class fighter who can literally dismantle grown men with her bare hands. Who exactly does she need protection from at a heavily secured, glamorous celebrity awards show? There were actual A-list stars, security details, and metal detectors everywhere. If anything, given the physical dynamics of their relationship, Clarissa is the one who could protect him and defend his honor in a real conflict. Watching her drag him down that aisle made it look like she was the one doing all the heavy lifting, while he just passively coasted along to get to his seat. The defensive narrative she is spinning is the exact same tired routine she uses every single time the public points out the obvious disconnect in her relationship. She wants everyone to believe that this is just his natural demeanor, that he is an alpha male who doesn't smile for the cameras. But the beautiful thing about the internet is that the receipts are permanent, and the public memory is long. You cannot tell a community of people who watched this man for a decade on national television that he simply does not possess the capacity to smile or show joy in public spaces. We all remember the love and hip-hop days perfectly, and we know exactly how he behaves when he is genuinely invested in the woman next to him. When Papoose was with his ex-wife Remy Ma, he was an entirely different human being on camera. He was vibrant, he was smiling from ear to ear, and he was constantly trying to position himself directly in the frame whenever she went live on Instagram or spoke to reporters. He was proud, he was energetic, and he displayed an infectious level of happiness that you simply cannot fake. He didn't need a gun held to his head to look alive when he was standing next to Remy. The contrast between his past behavior and his current state of absolute misery is what has the internet talking. When a man goes from being a hyper-supportive, smiling, camera-loving partner to a silent, expressionless statue, it means something shifted fundamentally inside of him. Clarissa is pretending that she cannot read his body language, but the truth is she is choosing to ignore it, because facing reality would mean admitting that the public is right. She has built this entire modern persona around being his main woman, and stepping back now would cause an immense amount of public embarrassment. This whole dynamic feeds right into the legendary statement that Remy Ma made during a previous interview when discussing relationships and the sudden adjustments men make when things go left. Remy dropped a line that has been ringing in everyone's ears throughout this entire BET drama. She basically said that nobody falls in love faster than a man who suddenly realizes he has absolutely nowhere to stay. That line was a direct hit, and when you look at Papoose's current living situation and financial trajectory, it starts to look less like a romantic love story and more like a tactical survival strategy. Word from multiple anonymous sources close to the New York scene suggests that Papoose has been in a very strange financial and domestic limbo ever since he and Remy separated back in 2022. Despite his public claims that he is a businessman who owns multiple properties and has his own independent wealth, the street-level reality tells a completely different story. People are openly questioning where these supposed houses are located, because the only primary residence he was ever associated with was the home he shared with his wife. When that relationship crumbled, his stable foundation went right along with it. The most damning piece of information that has leaked out of this entire circle is the fact that Papoose allegedly still has his clothes and personal belongings sitting over at Remy's house. It has been years since the initial separation, and he still has not fully cleared out his items from his ex-wife's property. Seasoned women who understand the psychology of relationships know exactly what that game is about. Men will intentionally leave a drawer full of clothes, a pair of shoes, or a box of documents at an ex's house because it functions as an emotional anchor. It gives them a permanent, valid excuse to text, call, and sneak back into town under the guise of picking up their stuff. Clarissa is out here acting like she is the ultimate prize who managed to secure a legendary hip-hop figure, but she fails to realize that she might just be providing a temporary sanctuary for a man who ran out of options. He transitioned directly from his family dynamics into a long-term marriage where he was heavily taken care of, and now he has landed right in the lap of a wealthy young athlete who is willing to fund his lifestyle just to say she has him. He does not want to break up with her because he simply cannot afford the domestic relocation that would follow, and that lack of choice is reflecting directly on his face. The reality of this setup is incredibly clear when you look closely at how Papoose operates. He has built a reputation over the years as the ultimate devoted partner, but that devotion seems to have vanished since he shifted his attention to Clarissa. He looks like a man who is entirely pacified by the comfort of his current arrangement, but completely empty inside when it comes to actual passion. He is staying because it is convenient, because she provides a stable roof over his head, and because she handles the heavy financial burdens that come with maintaining a high-end lifestyle. This convenience is exactly why he is willing to endure the public embarrassment of looking completely miserable on a red carpet. He knows that if he walks away from Clarissa, he has to face the reality of starting over on his own, without the backing of a wealthy superstar. He does not have the guts or the momentum to pack up and leave, so he chooses to just stand there like a statue, letting her drag him from event to event while he completely disengages mentally from the entire situation. The dynamic becomes even more embarrassing when you look back at the leaked text messages that surfaced from their private conversations. Clarissa has been out here publicly defending his honor, but her own text messages show that she has been dealing with intense frustration behind closed doors since at least 2022. In those leaked chats, she was literally begging this man for the absolute bare minimum of human attention and romance. She was complaining about having to ask for basic gifts, having to express that she likes flowers, and having to beg for dedicated time to be set aside for her. She literally wrote to him that she was just laying there feeling stupid because of how little he was giving back to her. It is incredibly tragic to see a world-class athlete, a woman who is feared in the boxing ring globally, reduced to begging a man for a simple supermarket bouquet of flowers. If a man is refusing to give you the simplest tokens of affection when you are privately funding his peace of mind, what on earth makes you think he is ever going to give you a wedding ring or the child you have been publicly asking for since day one? He is giving her the absolute scraps of his energy, and she is accepting them while pretending to the world that everything is perfect. In those same leaked messages, she was trying to hold him accountable for his marital status, reminding him that he is still legally a married man. She complained that he couldn't even manage to sleep on the phone with her, or let her know when he made it home safe, or properly communicate when he fell asleep in his Sprinter van. He was offering up excuse after excuse, blaming his busy schedule and random business obligations just to avoid basic intimacy with her. The biggest excuse that kept popping up in their arguments was his lingering connection to his estranged wife. He would claim he had to attend office parties, or meet with executives, or handle situations that magically always kept him in proximity to his old life. Clarissa tried to act tough in the texts, telling him she didn't care, and that he didn't have to tell her anything, but her actions prove otherwise. She cares deeply, and she is fully aware that mentally, emotionally, and historically, Papoose is still completely checked into Remy Ma's world. What makes this even messier is how Clarissa tried to act like she was completely separate from the drama during the previous boxing event where Remy Ma was performing. Everyone remembers that major sporting event where Remy took the stage alongside Fat Joe, and the tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Clarissa was in the building, and she immediately started throwing indirect shots online, talking about how nobody needs to be leaning back anymore, making clear references to Remy's classic hits. But when it came down to actual reality, the seating arrangement told the real story. Clarissa was sitting on one side of the venue, and Papoose was sitting completely detached, looking like a stone figurine. Clarissa later jumped online to claim she was just too busy mingling, networking, and meeting with important people to bother confronting anyone. Girl, please. You had all the time in the world to post subliminal dices on your phone, but you didn't have the courage to walk over and say a single word to Remy when she was standing right in front of you. You knew better than to bring that energy to Remy Ma in person, so you chose to play the internet game instead. And through that entire awkward night, Papoose sat there looking completely frozen, like an ancient gargoyle that had been turned to stone. He refused to look at her, he refused to engage, and he showed the exact same draining body language that we all just witnessed at the BET Awards. It is a recurring theme with him now. Whenever he is in public with Clarissa, his energy completely bottoms out. Yet, despite all of this obvious disconnect, Clarissa gets deeply offended when a major network like BET points out the reality of her situation. She wants to claim that everyone is just being messy and hounding her for no reason. But the truth is, the public is just reacting to the narrative she chose to broadcast. You cannot make a man your entire personality, drag him onto every red carpet, leak your own relationship grievances, and then get mad when the audience reads the room and tells you exactly what they see. BET was actually being quite mild compared to what the commentators in this section were saying. They just made a light joke about her dragging her man to the function, which was a completely accurate description of the footage. If she had been truly secure in her relationship and having a wonderful time, she would have laughed it off or completely ignored it. Instead, she chose to launch an entire public relations campaign to defend his facial expressions, which only proved to everyone how deeply bothered she actually is by his silence. She keeps insisting that he is just a serious Brooklyn man who is focused on business and safety. But the public has eyes, and the public remembers how he used to look when he was genuinely proud to be on a woman's arm. He used to be the life of the party, constantly smiling and making sure everyone knew he was devoted to his wife. Now he looks like he is attending a mandatory corporate seminar that he cannot wait to escape from. The contrast is undeniable, and no amount of aggressive tweets can change what is captured on video. The most embarrassing part of her defense is how she tried to use Papoose to validate her career achievements after she lost the award. She claimed that Papoose was telling her she was being robbed of her moments and that her accolades speak for themselves. But anyone with an ounce of common sense knows that Papoose does not care enough about the sports drama to be losing sleep over it. Those were Clarissa's feelings being pushed through his mouth, because she needed to feel like her man was fighting in her corner. She wants so badly to believe that they are a power couple who are conquering the entertainment world together. But in reality, she is the one fighting all the battles, doing all the talking, and making all the noise while he just stands there completely checked out. She claims she went to the awards just to have fun and network, but her behavior showed she was hyper-focused on who was watching her, and whether her presence was making an impact on his past life. The rumors coming out of their inner circle suggest that she was constantly scanning the room to see if Remy Ma was going to make an appearance. She was riding a high down that aisle, smiling and singing, because she thought she was winning the public relations war. She thought that by showing up with him on her arm at a major network event, she was solidifying her spot as the new queen of his life. But that plan completely backfired the moment the camera caught his actual expression, exposing the total lack of joy in his eyes. If Remy Ma had actually walked past them in that moment, that bright, forced smile on Clarissa's face would have faded instantly. She would have immediately gone into overdrive, trying to hug him, kiss him, and put on an exaggerated display of affection for the cameras just to prove a point. And Papoose, true to form, would have likely remained completely stiff and unresponsive, just like he did during the boxing match. The entire relationship has become a performance art piece where Clarissa is the only director, and the only actor who actually cares about the script. The absolute tragedy of this entire situation is that Clarissa is blocking her own blessings, while trying to force a reality that simply does not exist. Before she got tangled up in this endless web of hip-hop marital drama, she was celebrated globally as an absolute powerhouse. She was an independent force, a dominant champion who commanded respect every single time she stepped into the ring. Now, whenever her name trends on social media, it is almost never about her incredible athletic achievements or her historic multi-millionaire status. It is always about why her man looks like a miserable hostage on a red carpet. She has allowed her entire public identity to be completely swallowed up by another woman's husband. Let us not forget that despite all the talk of separation and new beginnings, Papoose is still legally married to Remy Ma. There has been no final divorce, no official legal dissolution of that marriage, and no clear move to completely cut those old ties. Clarissa is essentially fighting a losing battle against a ghost, trying to replace a woman who holds over a decade of deep history, legal connection, and emotional weight with this man. The public can see the truth, and that is exactly why the comment sections across every single urban media outlet are so brutal. People are not trying to be mean to Clarissa just for the sake of being malicious. They are trying to give her a massive reality check because it is painful to watch a young, successful black woman lower her standards so drastically for a man who refuses to give her the bare minimum. The internet is screaming at her to open her eyes and read the room, but she chooses to slam the door and attack the audience instead. It is a known fact among seasoned women that when a man truly loves you and views you as the absolute center of his world, you do not have to give public lectures defending his facial expressions. You do not have to explain to the media why he looks annoyed to be standing next to you. His joy, his pride, and his devotion will be completely evident in the way he carries himself when he is by your side. When that energy is missing, no amount of aggressive typing or excuses about Brooklyn street culture can ever manufacture it. What makes this even crazier is the timeline of their public relationship compared to what she is actually receiving from him. She has been talking about wanting a child and wanting to build a family with him since the very moment they took their situation public. In one interview, she will say she is hoping to give him a son, and then in the next, she will claim she is the one with no kids and that he is the one begging her. This constant flip-flopping shows a deep level of internal chaos and frustration. She is getting tired of waiting for milestones that are never going to arrive. If a man has been dragging his feet since 2022, making endless excuses about why he cannot fully commit, why he cannot pick up his remaining belongings from his ex-wife's house, and why he cannot properly integrate his life with yours, he is giving you a clear answer. He is telling you exactly where you stand in his hierarchy of priorities. He is using your home, your resources, and your platform as a comfortable resting place while he figures out his next move. He is there out of necessity, not out of genuine, passionate desire. The absolute irony is that she is treating him like a prize catch when, in reality, he has nothing to lose in this arrangement. If they break up tomorrow, Clarissa is the one who suffers the massive public relations hit and the emotional embarrassment of a failed high-profile relationship. Papoose will simply pack up his things, finally go collect his clothes from Remy's house, and find another comfortable situation to slide into. He is playing a game of survival, and Clarissa is funding the entire playbook while thinking she is winning a romantic prize. We have all seen this specific relationship dynamic play out 1,000 times in the entertainment industry. A wealthy, successful woman takes in a man who is past his prime, provides him with an elite lifestyle, and convinces herself that his quietness is just a sign of maturity and protection. But the moment the cameras turn off, the true disconnect becomes impossible to hide. The text messages already prove that she feels completely stupid and neglected when they are behind closed doors. So why continue to put on this massive, exhausting performance for the public? She should have never responded to the BET digital team, and she should have never allowed herself to get dragged into a public back and forth over a social media caption. By reacting so aggressively, she gave the entire world confirmation that the joke actually hit a very sensitive nerve. A true, secure multi-millionaire champion would have walked right past that commentary without giving it a second thought. Her reaction showed that she knows exactly what the internet is saying is completely true, and she is terrified of facing that reality. The narrative surrounding his sudden burst of energy when he is not around her is the final nail in the coffin. People pointed out how incredibly happy, vocal, and excited he was at a recent New York Knicks basketball game when he was solo. He was smiling, high-fiving people, and completely full of life. But the moment he is back on a red carpet with Clarissa, the stone-faced gargoyle persona immediately returns. It is a night and day difference that cannot be explained away by saying he is just a serious person. He is only serious when he is with her. The ultimate lesson here is that you can never force a man to see you as his primary choice if his heart and his history are still anchored somewhere else. Clarissa has too much to offer, too much wealth, and too much potential to be wasting her prime years acting as a domestic sanctuary for a man who treats her like a hidden secret or an embarrassing chore in public. She needs to take control of her own narrative, step away from the hip-hop drama, and reclaim the independent power that made her a global champion in the first place. If she continues down this path of defending the indefensible, the ending to this story is going to be incredibly messy and highly publicized. When the illusion finally shatters and they inevitably part ways, the public is going to hear a flood of angry receipts, leaked details, and complaints about how she paid for everything and supported him through his darkest times. The audience is already predicting the script, because the red flags are written in bold letters all over his face every single time he stands next to her. The BET Awards drama was not just a minor internet moment. It was a loud wake-up call that she is completely choosing to ignore. You can fight many battles in this world, but you can never win a fight against a man's true feelings. No amount of money, boxing titles, or red carpet invitations can buy a man's genuine joy if he does not want to give it to you. It is time for her to read the room, pack up the excuses, and realize that the internet is not hating on her. It is simply holding up a mirror to a situation that looks completely remedial from the outside looking in. And that is the absolute unfiltered tea on this entire red carpet disaster. It is honestly exhausting to watch a world-class champion create her own public turmoil while trying to force a reality that clearly isn't there. But you know how the game goes. Eventually, the cameras don't lie, and the truth always finds a way to step into the ring. Now I have to bring it over to you guys because the comment section is about to be absolutely wild. Do you think the internet is completely overanalyzing a simple 5-second clip? Or did BET actually hit the nail right on the head with that caption? Is Papoose genuinely just a serious, militant guy who is focused on safety? Or is he simply staying in this relationship for the comfort, the resources, and a stable place to lay his head while his heart remains anchored in his past life? Drop your thoughts, your theories, and your raw opinions in the comments down below because I know you'll have a lot to say about this one. If you want to stay ahead of the game and never miss the real story behind these celebrity headlines, make sure you hit that like button right now. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications so you are alerted the exact second the tea drops, and share this video with anyone who needs a major reality check. Thank you for tapping in, keep your eyes open, and I will catch y'all in the next one.